is the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla.
So I asked Tea Party Express, do you mind if I just swing in and say hello? I love the sheriff.
Sarah Palin loves the sheriff, and so do we. Sheriff Joe Arpaio, the great sheriff of Maricopa County, Arizona, is here. The Duck Dynasty gang pays a visit to the Palins. We strap in with the Colonel once again. Rob Manus joins us from Louisiana. A brand new Commonwealth Common Sense with Susan Stimson is coming up from Virginia. And just ahead, our latest edition of Steel Resolve with Sarah Steelman in Missouri. Right now, we welcome in a patriot from the great state of Arizona. He is the no-nonsense sheriff from Maricopa County, and we are so happy to have him here with us today. Sheriff Joe Arpaio, welcome, sir, to the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. How are you?
Okay, thank you.
You know, you are one of the greatest advocates for strong enforcement of immigration law, and recently you forwarded some shocking immigration statistics to officials in Washington, D.C. What did you find in your office?
Well, actually, I updated it 2 days ago, sent another press release and a letter to the Inspector General of Homeland Security. That's my second letter to him. I believe I sent 3 letters to Secretary Johnson, trying to let them know that in the past 8 months, we did a check in our jails. I have about 8,000 people average a day in the jail. So we found out about 4,000 of the inmates that we talked to, that we checked out for many, many different crimes, were here illegally, and they were turned over to ICE. And guess what? Over 36% have come back. Just this month, one guy has been booked into our jail 25 times. Now, let me tell you, these people I'm talking about are all in this country illegally. So there's something wrong. Either they are deporting them and they keep coming across the border, or they're letting these illegal aliens who have committed various crimes out on the streets. I want an answer. I'm not getting much response. So I'd like to see why all these illegal aliens that have been booked into my jail several times keep coming back where they should have been deported.
And this is something that a lot of times we don't hear about because the media doesn't pick up on it, or they want to push an agenda and talk about other things that they want to do, open borders and perks for those who do come across illegally. But really, this is a very dangerous situation, not just an unconstitutional one.
Well, it looks like the president, regardless what he says, I heard today, he just said that he's going to hold off till after the elections to do the illegal immigration situation, whether he's going to enforce, executive orders. But this is very serious because I have the proof. You know, everybody's talking about 30,000 illegal aliens, some charged with murders and so on, have been let out of the prisons or jails, or have not been deported. I got the evidence. Why don't they come down here, work with me? We'll try to round up those that have been out on the streets that are still roaming around, or we'll try to find out what the breakdown is, why 36% of all the illegal aliens booked into my jails charged with many, many different crimes. How come they keep coming back? They must be in the United States if they keep committing state crimes and keep coming back to the jail, or if they are deported. How come they keep coming back? Well, I can say that our borders are not secure, but I got a gut feeling that they're just released on the streets and never have been deported.
A big win for Doug Ducey in the Arizona Republican primary recently for governor. You backed Ducey, as did Sarah Palin. How excited are you for his candidacy, and what will he bring to the table as far as border security?
Well, he's a good guy. There are 6 running. They all visited me several times, wanted my endorsement. and I decided to go with Doug. He's a former businessman. He's the treasurer right now for the state, and he comes from a great family. And I feel the promises he made to me, he's going to keep and do something about the border situation, whatever a governor can do, and try to help out.
Sarah Palin has spoken very highly of you and your efforts to keep the people of Arizona and really all Americans safe. What is your take on Governor Palin and the unique role she's played in our country the last few years?
Well, she was the vice president for McCain. That didn't work out. But she's still out there talking. We need people to send a message out and keep putting the pressure on the government, especially the Obama administration. And it's the power of the people and power of the media. They can move mountains when you get the people and talk shows or media outlets like yours to get the message out and try to fight what's going on in Washington today, including the illegal migration problem. I'm just concerned about the 30,000 kids that just come across the border. I'm also concerned, having been over there. I was a regional director in Mexico City and Central and South America in the past, and I worked in Turkey, the Middle East, fighting the drug traffickers, and I do know the international aspects, and I'm just wondering why the CIA and U.S. ambassador and the State Department did not have advanced intelligence that 30,000, 40,000 were going to flood our borders with these young illegal aliens. I'm just convinced that they did know, they just did not care, or the White House didn't care. So that's something that should be looked into, but I don't know. Can't see much movement on that front.
Something you and Palin have in common, unfortunately, is you both have been unfairly treated by the media. You both have had your share of hate thrown at you by various nut jobs across the country. How do you and your beautiful family deal with threats and lies thrown your way? That's got to be hard.
Well, my wife's been with me 57 years. She's a trooper. She's been overseas with me when I was fighting drug traffickers and involved in many gun battles. But here, I've been the sheriff 22 years. I have a lot of threats. In fact, there's a trial going on in federal court on a guy that sent me a bomb. Of course, fortunately, it was intercepted. And so that's going on right now. Let's see what happens. The irony is that here the Department of Justice has been going after me for 6 years on alleged racial profile, and they're still after me. And now you got the federal courts not the courts, but the prosecutors trying to convict the guy that sent me a bomb. But it's a difficult problem here. Being the sheriff, I'm high profile, like Governor Palin is, speaking out, and you have to do that sometimes. You just can't get the bureaucracy of the government to do what's right. So the only other avenue we have is to speak out and let the public know what's really happening.
You get a lot of attention for dealing with the border, but obviously your responsibilities as sheriff cover much more. No tolerance for animal abuse comes to mind out of your office. You've really cracked down on those who harm animals.
Well, being the elected constitutional sheriff, I set the policies. We have the third largest sheriff's office in the country. And by the way, we're only 30 miles from the border, and I'm talking about my county, Maricopa County. We have over 4 million people that live in this county. But being the sheriff and not a bureaucrat, law enforcement official that I've been for 30 years. I was a cop in D.C., cop in Vegas, and almost 28 years with the U.S. Drug Enforcement. You always had to report to somebody. But isn't it great as the sheriff, I just report to the 4 million people that I serve. And when you do that, you can sometimes do things you feel is right for the people. I know the Tea Party came to me and asked me to look into the president's birth certificate, which regardless, I'm still doing it. I can't get any media attention on that or political figures. They all shy away from it, and that's sad, too, when you have the evidence and nobody wants to look at it.
What have you found there? I mean, a lot of people do shy away from that. You've said that there have been very, very few who have talked about that. I mean, it's hard when, Obama was running and his own opponent, John McCain, kept telling people to stop talking about it. So is there anything new on that front?
I don't know why people want to stop talking about it, but you're right. In law enforcement, when you know there's a crime, what's the main mission is to find out who did it. Now, there's no doubt in my mind that birth certificate that he sent out around the world from the White House is a forged, fraudulent document. That's a fact. Now you have to find out who did it. I think a little closer to knowing how this thing happened. But I just can't seem to get anyone to either talk about it or look at it. I've had 2 press conferences, and I'm the guy everybody went after. So I'm not done with that one yet.
Sheriff, one of the reasons you've created such a buzz over your career is because of your innovative ideas and approach to the office of sheriff. Tent City Jail on top of that list. Tell people how Tent City works.
Well, I ran in 1992 as sheriff. I made a promise I was going to build a tent jail made up of Korean War tents. And by the way, I joined the Army when the Korean War broke out, so I lived in tents. And after I took office, I had to find 70 tents because I made a promise I would get free tents, and finally picked them up in New Mexico, brought them to Phoenix, built a tent city, and after 21 years, we just celebrated our anniversary. The tents are still there. We put the convicted people in the tents serving their time. Now we don't put the murderers and so on. I've had 4 presidential candidates visit me in the tents. Senator Dole, Phil Graham of Texas, he was a senator. Governor Wilson, California, McCain, when they were running for president. By the way, they all lost. I was trying to get Hillary down here 3 years ago, but she's smart enough not to visit the tents. But it's been a great, great program. And we have the women and the men in the tents. I even had juveniles in the tents. So I don't want to just brag about saving millions and millions of dollars by not having to build a regular jail. I just feel if you violate the law, you should not live better than the Hilton Hotel and do your time in the tents. And for all the people that don't like it, I just bring up the fact that we have our dedicated soldiers and fighting for our country and living in tents overseas. So what's wrong with convicted inmates to spend a little time in the tents?
Right, instead of having a better cable package than the average citizen in a posh jail.